It's now official. For the first time in history, there will be a recanvass in a governor's race in Kentucky.
We're learning more today about a Kentucky National Guard soldier who was killed in a fiery chain reaction crash on I-75 yesterday.
A London man is facing charges after police say they found his 3-year-old son in an apartment with 2 drunk teens.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 5.
Good afternoon. It is now official. For the first time in history, there will be a recanvass in a Kentucky election for governor.
Within the last hour, James Comer submitted his request to review the votes with Secretary of State Allison Lundergan Grimes. More than 214,000 people voted in yesterday's Republican primary. Comer trails Matt Bevin by just 83 votes. WKYT's Phil Pendleton has more on what's next in the GOP race. It's our top story at 5.
We learned just about an hour ago that Kentucky Secretary of State Allison Lundergan Grimes had in fact received an official notification that the Comer-McDaniel campaign wants a recanvass, simply stating that we hereby request a full and complete check and recanvass of every one of the voting machines and absentee ballots of all precincts in all 120 counties. A recanvass is a verification of the vote totals, checking each machine, and if Comer seeks it, each county would do that on May 28th.
This isn't something that is new to the Office of Secretary of State. Since I've been Secretary of State, we've actually had several recanvasses.
The most recent was in 2011 and then in 2007. Several times there have been slight changes, but not enough to change the outcome of the election.
When it comes down to 83 votes, as we have here, it's to be expected. And at the end of the day, we want to ensure the integrity of the process.
Grimes says her records show that it's never happened in a governor's race, making the primary a historic one. We also learned from Secretary Grimes this morning there are some military ballots that have not been counted yet. However, that will not change the outcome of the election, as there were only 12 of those ballots that have yet to come in, 6 Republicans and 6 Democrats. We're going to have a lot more on this coming up at 6 o'clock, but for now in Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
And just to be clear, a recanvass is not the same as a recount. Secretary Grimes says a judicial court would oversee that, and it requires candidates to put up a bond to cover the cost of recounting every ballot. Now, to find out how Fayette County goes about a recanvass, we went to Clerk Don Blevins to talk about the procedure. Blevins and his staff will have to retabulate the results of all 4 candidates. The recanvass will include results from all 291 precincts in Fayette County, but he says with modern technology, accuracy shouldn't be an issue.
Now, all of that's done electronically. So the difference between what used to be a recanvass with a mechanical machine and the modern way of doing it with electronics is that the electronics are probably going to be accurate.
Blevins says his staff is ready for a recanvass because it is standard procedure to retain and sequester voting information from every machine in the county for 30 days following the election.
We are learning more today about a Kentucky National Guard member killed in a horrific crash. It happened yesterday on Interstate 75 southbound in Rockcastle County. 34-year-old Jonathan Rourke was driving a car when it was crushed between 2 semis in a chain reaction crash. Rourke is from Knox County. WKYT's Jordan Valines talked to a former classmate about the soldier, the father, and the friend.
34-year-old Sergeant Jonathan Rourke was a man who meant a lot to many. He was a father, a best friend, a boyfriend, and a sergeant here at the Kentucky National Guard since 2007. Friends say Rourke had gone to Frankfort Tuesday to fill out paperwork for the National Guard. They say he was on his way back to his home in Knox County when the crash happened. We met up with those friends today who said they knew Rourke for nearly a decade. His friends said they were too emotional to appear on camera, but they did use their voices so they could pay respect to their best friend, who they called Ro.
He was somebody that everybody liked. Everybody had a kind word to say to him. He was the type of person that you strive to be like, you know, that you want to be like. And, you know, I think that he made everybody around him a better person because of that.
While officials here at the Kentucky National Guard could not comment on camera, they did tell us that their hearts and thoughts are with the family and friends of Sergeant Rourke. In Barberville, Jordan Valines, WKYT.
Friends say that funeral arrangements for Jonathan Rourke are still pending at this time.
It is a much cooler day here in the Bluegrass than we've seen recently, with temperatures only making it into the upper 60s. There's also a chance for some rain as we head into our evening hours. WKYT Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey is in the First Alert Weather Center with an early check of your forecast. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Amber. Those clouds right on cue, increasing this afternoon, a sign of some ugliness that's ahead of us later tonight and certainly into the day on your Thursday. Live First Alert Defender in a moment. Let's show you that live sky cam because we are now splitting Lexington with the sun and clear skies to the east. The clouds that are coming in from west to east, the overcast going to win the battle. It's going to be a cloudy evening for a lot of the Bluegrass region, down to 68 degrees right now in Lexington on a northeasterly wind. Just down the road, though, a little more sunshine. Richmond at 72. How about southeastern Kentucky? Upper 70s. Look at Covington, 60 degrees. It's downright chilly to the west and north of the Ohio River. One of the reasons, more clouds and more rain on Live First Alert Defender. Look at all the moisture now coming out of the Paducah area, Owensboro, Bowling Green. This is weakening the farther east that it gets, but still it's going to get in here later tonight with some showers and drizzly conditions into the day tomorrow. That is followed by just a ton of clouds. Those clouds will make for a chilly Thursday across most of the region. If you're out this evening, though, keep the umbrellas handy from the latter part of the evening into the overnight. If you are traveling tonight westbound on 64 toward Louisville, toward sections of southern Indiana, you're going to run into that rain before the rest of us as temperatures drop into the upper 50s. When I come back in a little bit, we're going to focus not only on tomorrow's cool down, but guys, Memorial Day weekend, temperatures go up. That may bring some storm issues, he says. More on that in just a few minutes.
A Southern Kentucky father is speaking out from behind bars, accused of endangering his 3-year-old son over the weekend.
Police say that Billy Morgan left the boy in an apartment with 2 teenagers who appeared to be drunk. The father talked to our Mark Barber from the Laurel County Jail.
Billy Morgan says when he dropped his 3-year-old son off at a neighbor's apartment, he thought that the adults in the apartment would be keeping an eye on his son. Instead, police say he was putting that boy in danger. They say when investigators found the boy, he was with 2 drunk teenagers. Morgan spoke with us from the Laurel County Correctional Center, where he is facing several charges, including endangering the welfare of a minor. He tells us the 15 and 16-year-old who were found in the apartment with his 3-year-old are also his sons. Morgan says on Friday night, he dropped the child off at an apartment a few doors down from where he lives on West 10th Street. Morgan tells us he went over to check on the boy a few times and didn't notice any problems. He says he didn't see his teenagers drinking.
I think there was alcohol there, and I think they snuck in it.
According to police, they were both taken to the hospital to be treated for an alcohol-related illness. The 3-year-old was checked out by a medical team, but he appears to be fine. Officers say the adults who rent the apartment where the teens and the boy were found are not facing any charges. Morgan says he wishes he could turn back the clock so he could do some things differently.
I would never do this again. I'd have my kids right where I could see them at all times.
Police say Morgan's children are now in the custody of a responsible adult. In London, Mark Barber, WKYT.
And Morgan will be in court again on June 16th for a pretrial conference.
A Corbin man has agreed to a 19-year prison sentence for breaking into the Corbin Ice Company in 2013 and setting it on fire. Our county-by-county coverage begins in Whitley County. 22-year-old Joshua Stevenson pled guilty to burglary and arson. The Corbin News-Journal reports he could have faced 60 years in prison if convicted by a jury. The fire destroyed 2 offices, 2 warehouses, and 2 delivery trucks. Stevenson was released on bond and placed on home incarceration until his sentencing on June 1st. In Powell County, a community is coming together to honor a soldier killed in the line of duty. Sergeant John Morton was killed in Afghanistan in 2005. There's going to be a dedication of the John Morton Memorial Sunday at the City Park in Stanton. It will include the unveiling of a bronze casting as well as several speakers. The ceremony begins Sunday afternoon at 2. And in Knott County, police are trying to figure out who stripped more than a dozen elm trees of their bark. On Monday, state highway workers discovered 18 elm trees on Kentucky 550 East that had been stripped. State officials say the bark can be sold for pharmaceutical uses. There's a safe way to strip a tree, but officials say it wasn't used in this case. The trees will likely die. Anyone with information about the crime is asked to call state police.
Follow WKYT online at WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
Miles of beautiful California coastline near Santa Barbara could be off limits to swimmers and campers this holiday weekend. A broken pipeline spewed thousands of gallons of oil into the Pacific Ocean.
Officials say the 9-mile-long slick is threatening birds and other wildlife. Chris Martinez has the latest from California.
Workers are spread out across the shoreline in Central California, scraping and raking the sand to clean up oil that's washed ashore. More than 20,000 gallons of oil leaked from a broken pipeline into the Pacific Ocean, creating a massive slick near Santa Barbara. On the water, crews are skimming as much oil as possible.
Oil recovery tends to be a complicated process that involves a lot of manual labor. It can be a slow process, but we want to make sure that we do it right so we can get the beaches back to its pristine condition.
Cleanup crews have their work cut out for them. The oil is coating everything, including all of these rocks here along the shore. And crews are bagging whatever they can find washed up on the beach.
Many are concerned whales are swimming into the crude and some birds are already coated in oil.
You know, you got to wash them off with like palm olive and stuff and, clean them up and get them, kind of get them out of here.
Campers at a state park in the area were forced to evacuate.
A few hours ago it was a beautiful beach and now it's a mess.
The pipeline broke on shore and spewed into a storm drain for hours before crews shut it off. The company that owns the pipeline says it will do all it can to limit the impact on the environment. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Goleta, California.
Oh, that is so heartbreaking to see. It is unclear how long the cleanup will take. The Coast Guard will do a flyover today to determine which way that slick is moving.
Police in Waco, Texas are expected to leave the scene of a deadly biker gang shootout today. 9 bikers were killed in Sunday's shootout outside the Twin Peaks restaurant. 7 people hurt in the melee remain hospitalized. Police say that numerous weapons have been recovered from all over the restaurant area.
We have recovered up to 1,000 weapons at Twin Peaks. A lot of those are maybe a normal pocket knife. There are very aggressive assault knives. There are weapons such as firearms. The highest caliber weapon we've recovered is an AK-47.
At least 170 people are in jail facing charges in connection to that shootout. Authorities say the incident may have started over a parking space dispute over someone having his foot run over. A cruise ship with almost 3,500 passengers has left a Bermuda port after becoming stuck on a reef in the waters for almost 6.5 hours. Norwegian Cruise Line says the rising tide helped free the ship and push it into deeper water. The company says all guests and crew are safe and there were no injuries.
It is the largest auto recall in history. Takata is nearly doubling the size of its recall for faulty airbags. Nearly 34 million vehicles, almost 1 of every 7 cars on U.S. roads are affected. The airbags have been known to explode and send shrapnel into the vehicle. At least 5 deaths have been tied to the faulty airbags. It's not yet known what is causing the airbags to explode. It is time now for better living, health, education, and consumer news that impacts your life. With winter weather behind us, it is time to enjoy the outdoors again. Are you ready to run outside in the sun or lie on the beach and soak up some rays? Well, good for you, but doctors warn be careful. Even being out in the mild spring weather can cause sunburns, so don't forget your sunscreen. Martha Shade looks at which one gives you the best protection.
Hello, warm weather. It's been a long time. But even in these milder temperatures, dermatologists will tell you you should always protect yourself from the sun's rays. Studies have shown that applying the correct sunscreen can protect you from developing skin cancer and can even keep you looking younger. The question is, which ones do the best job? According to the Food and Drug Administration, every ingredient in sunscreens must be approved and is therefore safe. So look for the following. Oxybenzone. Oxybenzone effectively protects your skin from harmful UVA and UVB rays. Also look for retinol palmitate, an ingredient in sunscreen that protects against premature aging by keeping skin moist. The American Academy of Dermatology recommends an SPF of 30 or greater. Look for broad spectrum protection. It may say UVA and UVB protection. And always get a sunscreen that is water resistant. Now go out and enjoy the weather. For today's Health Minute, I'm Martha Shade.
A Canadian optometrist says he has created a product that will make glasses and contact lenses a thing of the past. Dr. Garth Webb calls his invention the Ocumetic Bionic Lens. He says the lenses could be implanted in a painless 8-minute procedure, and they'll provide vision 3 times better than 20/20. Webb says he's been working on the lenses for 8 years and recently presented them at an optometry convention in San Diego.
I hate to use the word better than the natural lens, but it has more focusing capacity than the natural lens does. So if one were to say, well, how close can you get this thing to focus? Well, I technically can make it so close that you could actually hold it like right here and start to see the cells on your own fingertip.
Webb says the bionic lens could be available in about 2 years pending clinical trials. A new study shows that Delta Airlines is shutting out some of the leading travel websites, stopping them from getting information about its fares and schedules. This makes it harder for travelers to compare prices and get the best deals. The study shows Delta has cut off at least 24 travel sites, including TripAdvisor and Fare Compare, and it also accuses American and United of having similar policies. All 3 airlines have yet to comment on the study.